Welcome to the long overdue recap of the 3rd Street Barbell Meet.
There's like still a guy near it.
It looks worse in person.
So that was the start of leaving the Bay Area to go to Sacramento for the weekend. It was quite a trafficy drive, and we got there a little bit later than we expected. We stopped by to visit grandparents on the way there before equipment check, and I wanted to get equipment check done the day before so I wouldn't have to worry about it the day of. Got to the hotel.
So one mega big suite with 2 queen beds, pull-out couch, 1 grandchild, 1 non-handicapped bathroom without a gate and without the flooding floor situation, an extra sink.
So being a little dramatic, but trying to make weight meant not having very much fluid, and it got to a point where I was just trying to eat this and not gag.
Are you back to work?
So usually I weigh in the morning as a lighter female, so because for this contest or meet we were going to be later in the day and weighing in at 4 p.m. for a 6 p.m. start, that meant going most of the day without eating, so I wasn't sure how I was going to come in. So this is what I walked into after weigh-ins. The earlier session was finishing up. You can see the energy in the room. It's like super loud. There's lots of people around. It's like super overwhelming. The music's also really loud. And I immediately was like, oh, I think I want to go home. That was a from behind look of my first squat. I did not get my first squat because I did not wait for the start command. I think the loudness definitely overwhelmed me. I also didn't practice with commands like I should have. So right before I went out, I had the ref who I know in the back. I was like, hey, what are the commands again? She told them to me. And then I was like, all right, I heard them, and I went out and I did the squat. So that was really dumb of me and really embarrassing, and it made me have to start with a missed lift, which mentally wasn't great because I was just in the back like, oh, I am the first person to have a missed lift in this session, and then that leads you to think about your next attempt. Usually when people miss their first, they would probably retake it just to be on the safer side, but I knew that if I did retake it, it would make it really hard for me to hit the total that I was going for, and so I decided to go up. So towards the end of this video, I will post the clips that I got from the live stream, and so that will have the numbers that I hit, so I don't just overlay each clip with the weights that I hit for each attempt. So for the second and third squat, I did make these squats, so that was a relief. I hit a PR of 325.1 pounds. That was the weight that I was going for at Nationals last year that I did not get to because of the back injury that I got leading up to Nationals, but for most of the training leading into Nationals, that was what I was working towards. So it was really awesome to be able to hit it. I really think that my changing technique has made a difference in being able to train without hurting my back in the same way. But I do still feel like it is my weakest lift right now because just the walkout for me is a little bit challenging as someone who just weighs less. I think just having to walk out that weight is already kind of hard for me. So I'm going to continue to work on bracing and continue to work on a steady walkout, and hopefully I can clean up my squat before nationals this year. Moving on to bench, my favorite lift because you get to lay down and bracing is not as much of a challenge compared to squat and deadlift. And I opened with 209.4 pounds. It was pretty easy. The bench that was used for this meet is a little bit different than the ones that we're used to with training. So it did feel different, but I'd say for me it felt different in a good way. I didn't feel like it was messing up my setup. I don't think it messed with my feet position or how my arch felt. And I wanted to go for 107.5. I went with 105 kilos, and I know that this is really confusing now switching between units, but I have open powerlifting out in front of me, and that was what I was referencing, and it's listed in pounds for me there. But I know the bench kilo attempts for myself better than the other lifts, because I think knowing like where 100 is and like 105 is just math's easier. But I made the 105 kilo bench for my third attempt, and that would be my new California state record, and I beat my old record again. And it's pretty awesome to keep improving in bench while keeping my lower body weight, because I have been cutting down from 63 kilos, which was my old weight class, so I've gotten smaller throughout the years and my bench has still gone up, which I think is pretty cool. And I think just overall, I would like to get to 115 eventually. 110 would be a really nice next jump, but I don't want to be greedy. I think my continued adding a small jump each meet, which is about twice a year, has been going pretty well. And my elbows do get kind of beat up during training. I've noticed that as I've eased back after this meet, my elbows have been hurting less, so I just want to keep it going sustainably. Moving on to deadlifts, which used to be my least favorite lift, but now it is a close second. I improved a lot in deadlifts this past year. I think I had a lot of room for improvement. I think that's a huge part of it. I think changing my setup has helped a tremendous amount, really feeling my lats. And I did not get my last deadlift, which is this clip here, and it pained me a lot because there was downward motion. I could feel it going down, but I wanted to complete the lift, and sadly that's probably the lift that would have made it on some kind of highlight reel, because 3 plates is really pretty. You see people clapping in the background, but I did not make it, and I knew it, and I still wanted to finish it, and that was how I ended the meet. So I was a little bit bummed out, but I secured I think first place by my second deadlift, so that third deadlift didn't make a difference towards that. But I was really hoping to get it because having a 3-plate deadlift is really, really badass. I think I just didn't have it on the day. That was a weight that I'd never attempted before, and I think I lost balance, and I was probably also fatigued from the rest of the meet. So next time. Then we went out with some friends, got some Korean barbecue, and then I got to hang out with my sword.
I know, the footage from the back isn't great. So I got first place, and it came with this medal that doesn't say first place on it, and it's on an orange ribbon. And then I got a sword. We think it's for grilling because it says Traeger on it. And that was my hip. Ow. And it's about, it goes up to, I guess, my ribs. Yeah, it's pretty big. It's not very sharp. It's pretty heavy. I think it's at least, how much do you think this sword weighs? Grantchard. Okay, maybe like 7 pounds. And it's for slicing. and can't really do the stabbing thing like with the dagger, but sword 1. Long format. Okay. Yeah. Practice.
If you've made it this far into the video, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. This meet was during a especially rough time in my life. It was, I'd say, so far in my 33 years, the hardest couple months, and this meet prep definitely helped a lot because it gave me something to focus on that I did have some control over, because a lot of the tougher things in life I just have no control over, and it's been kind of a going with the flow, kind of doing what I can to manage things around my life. And I would say that having something to train for was good for taking my mind off of things briefly during the tougher days. Part of what I feel like I've learned in this last year is really you can't have too much attachment to anything. I have made an effort to not define myself by the things that I do or by certain things that are part of my life. Like, I don't really identify too strongly with my profession. Like, I don't really introduce myself as that. I don't really tell people that I'm a powerlifter when I first meet them. I just feel like those are some things that can get taken away at any time. And I did kind of lose both of those things last year. When I got laid off, for the first time in my life, I didn't have a job, and I didn't feel as lost as I probably could have during that time, because I think I had gone into it not really fixating or not really tying in my identity with my profession that much. So it didn't feel like as much of a loss. When I hurt my back and I couldn't really lift or prepare for my meet, I didn't take it too badly because that wasn't what I completely tied up my identity with. And for the things going on currently in my life, it's like certain people in your life can literally disappear overnight, whether it's like death or by their choosing. About the meet itself, this was a pretty large-scale local meet. It is really cool to see how far powerlifting has evolved since I started in 2016. There's a lot more effort into making it more of a spectacle, I feel like, which can be good and bad. I think it's a lot more interesting for the audience. It'll probably draw more people into the sport just by making it seem a lot more interesting to look at, because powerlifting is a pretty boring sport to watch. The experience that I had at this meet was overall pretty good, but I think I got lucky because I was in a small flight and the amount of warm-up space didn't affect me that much. I think the earlier flights may have had a harder time because there were more people in the back in the warm-up room, and not, it's like a limited amount of squat racks to warm up on, so I think that makes it a little bit tough. And I think lifting in the evening was an advantage for me because I usually train in the evening, so I got lucky there. And the flights were a little bit smaller in the evening session, but because I'm a smaller person, I didn't have to warm up to as heavy weight as, for example, the guys who have similar time in between lifters, but maybe working up to like double or like close to triple my deadlift weight. So I think that would have been a challenge for bigger lifters. The live stream, I think I got lucky because being in the evening meant it wasn't sharing screens with another platform. We just had one platform going on, So I got to have pretty good live stream clips of myself lifting in like a pretty big part of the screen rather than just like half the screen. So got lucky there. It was really awesome to lift with such strong and badass women. Being able to make friends at these meets is a huge reason for me to keep going to these meets, because that it's just like a cool time where everyone gets to demonstrate all the rewards of their hard work, and getting to meet other people who are as into lifting or even more into lifting is really cool, because that's the community aspect of it. Once again, I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and it's a little bit different format because I'm recording with the mic on my laptop instead of my phone, so hopefully it turns out okay. I was a little bit hesitant to make this video even though I've had all the clips for the last month, because the results didn't get posted until this weekend. The meet happened 5 weeks ago, but until the results were posted, I didn't really want to talk about it just in case something happened and it became unsanctioned or something, or my total didn't count. I just wanted to make sure that that was all good to go. Hopefully you learned something new about powerlifting in this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below.